Hello, Courtney. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So lovely to see you. We were just saying just before we started the recording that I feel like we've known each other, but never really finally, had a chat like this. So lovely to have you here.
Yeah, it's so nice to actually be like talking, not just typing, talking.
Yeah, exactly. I want to thank you before everything for being so regular in terms of posting Wellness Wednesdays. A lot of members have been really appreciating all these tips. So thank you, and please continue doing that.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to have been asked, and so happy if I can add just like a little bit that might help one person. I'm like so excited that I get to do that. And even though sometimes it is on Thursday, I do like my Thursday edition of Wellness Wednesday.
Mhm.
Sometimes Wednesdays don't work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super excited to be a part of that.
Yeah, and I love what you said, right? Like even if it helps just one person, that's a
Mhm.
huge win already, right? It's
Right.
amazing. So we've agreed that you will keep doing that. That's awesome. Now, let's start by maybe you telling the group and the members and me as well more a bit about yourself, right? So who are you? What do you do? Tell us a bit more.
So I live in a very rural part of Canada, very small community. We are next to what is considered a city here in New Brunswick, the province I live in, but it's not huge. There's about 60,000 people.
Hmm.
So it's a very small city with a very much of a town feeling. And I actually live outside of the city. And I grew up in a really small place. Where I grew up, there's only 1,000 people, and it's an island. So, and you actually have to drive an hour through the US to get there. So it's considered Canada, but it's very isolated. So I'm used to being a small town person. I think that's why I like to live on the outskirts of the city. And I have two kids who one of them turns 13 tomorrow and the other one is 14.
Hmm.
So we're just getting back into the groove of back to school. And I have always been involved in health and wellness.
Hmm.
My university degree is in science of human kinetics. Then I went on to get a massage therapy degree, and I worked in a gym. So I've always been really involved in health and wellness. And then I started doing Arbonne as kind of a side type thing for just a little bit of extra money.
Hmm.
10 years ago now, over 10 years ago. And I actually did well with it. I wasn't expecting to do well with it. I just thought maybe $50, $100 a month. And then it grew and grew. And when I was going to work, my regular job, I was actually losing money with Arbonne because I was missing messages, or I just wasn't able to give it the time that I should dedicate to how big it was getting. So I actually stepped away from my other jobs 7 years ago. And I've been doing this working from home ever since.
Okay.
So I think that answers your question. Was there anything more specific, or I could answer more specifically
Yeah, I mean,
for you?
I find it so interesting that it was kind of a, by accident really that you
Oh,
landed the role, and then 10 years after you're still doing it. Amazing. Well done.
thank you. Yeah, I don't think anyone when they're a little girl or a little boy is like, when I grow up, I want to be a network marketer. Like I think a lot of people have almost like a bad taste in their mouth about this type of a business. So it's on top of running my business, I'm also trying to share and educate that you don't have to be weird when you do it. You don't have to be pressury. You
Mhm.
don't have to be salesy and annoying, or I hope I'm none of those things.
Mhm.
So yeah, on top of doing my actual job, I'm trying to educate and show that there's another way to do it. It doesn't have to, you can just be really helpful to people and give value and try to help as many people as possible. And then it kind of grows your business when you're doing that.
Yes, yeah, it's actually really good that you mentioned that because I believe as well that a lot of people have, a certain perception about network
Mm-hmm.
marketing, but I really also think that's exactly because a lot of people, maybe me even included, we don't have enough knowledge about it, right?
Right.
So I think that the aspect of you educating people on it is so very important. And also, at the end of the day, every job in this world, you have people who are doing it in this way or that way. So we cannot generalize. So tell me a bit more about that, though, right? Like, what has your experience been as working and as educating people? What are some main things that we should be aware of when thinking about networking, network marketing?
Um, well, I know when I initially started, I had it super bad taste in my mouth. My parents have been a part of something in the 90s, and I swear they're still using the same floor cleaner that because they had to buy a whole bunch to start up and just couldn't sell it. Because like I said, I lived in a very small place, and this is before the internet really took off. So I definitely had not fears, but a lot of hesitations, but it has changed so much in the last 30, 40 years. Usually there's not a huge buy-in, and you just order directly offline. So there's been a lot of, I guess, changes that occurred just because of the way our world works. And then with me, I'm a lot different than I was 10 years ago when I started. I think one of the top things that really kind of messes it up is when people start, they're so excited. They're so excited, like I have all this opportunity, and so they go almost overboard. They're like, I don't want to be salesy and weird, and then they're just as salesy and weird as they can be as soon as they start, because they're just excited to share and haven't really learned yet how to share in a way that isn't pressury, or they're just doing what they've seen everybody else do that they didn't like. So I find that's one of the number one things is when people start to be like, okay, I know you're excited, but let's like really rein that in and give you a good path to put that energy towards, instead of just going kind of bonkers, blaring it everywhere, what you're doing. And then also I do think it's been, as a industry, really misrepresented for so long, when people are like, you'll get a car, you'll go on trips, financial freedom, and you'll make 6 figures, and people say all this stuff, and it's like honestly too good to be true. So that kind of turns people off. Yeah. And then there is an option for that. Like in the 10 years, I've earned some trips. I was able to step away from my jobs. I do have the car, but it wasn't instant. And it's not everyone. Like I know I've worked with hundreds of people, and only like 3 people that I work with have achieved some of those things. So I think it's also about getting those people to calm down when you're sharing it. Like, yes, that is an option, but not everybody even wants that. Some people just want to make $50 an hour. So it really, I think, turns off those people too. So what I think I'm trying to educate and show is that it's not always like that. And you don't have to want that in order to do well in this, or even just to support your friends and family. It can be much, much smaller, and that's super cool too.
Yeah. And I think, right, like I heard you saying it's not always like that. I think it's really never like that in terms of, kind of overnight success, or do this and then quickly you will do, like every time I personally, and I believe a lot of people as well, but every time I hear such messages, I would always step back and be like, what is going on here, right? Like there is always something behind, right? Do this, but they don't tell you, but you have to do that. You know what I mean? Like it's
right. Yeah, a big thing that I guess another thing I'm trying to work against a bit is people say, you just sign up and you do it on the side, or you fit it in the nooks and crannies of your day. And I'm like, it's almost like when you join the gym, you can sign up for the gym, but nothing's going to change if you don't go regularly, even if it's just for 10 minutes a day. So it's not just magically going to fit into your day. You have to, on purpose, find time in your day that you can dedicate to it. And I think that's often missed. And it's not a 40-hour week job. Even now at the level I'm at, I don't work 40 hours a week, but I do consistently every day put forth effort so that it builds and kind of makes it easier down the road, like building momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you want great and sustainable results, you need to put great and sustainable effort, right? Like it's as simple as that. As simple as that, right? There is no and that's why I'm, sometimes very angry with all these messages around just do this or just do that, and then you will do. There is no just, just this or just that. You need to be consistent with high quality effort to get to those kind of results as well, right?
Exactly.
Do you have a team? Like, do you recruit your own team and then manage them? How does that work?
Yeah. So, and my team I find is very fluid. And then through COVID, COVID was hard on people. It was great the first year, really great for my business, because everybody, in Canada, we were shut down. You had to stay home. So the only way to get things was really order them online. And everybody was very concerned about their own health. So that first year, honestly, of COVID was the best year I've ever had in my business, which I felt back. So when people were losing jobs or really struggling, But then the second year in 2021, I feel like everyone got COVID fatigue.
Mm,
And it really, people were exhausted, they were stressed out, they were tired, and they didn't care as much about trying to be healthy. They were just trying to survive, really, and get through it. So I found my team was really booming at the first, and then the team that I had got tired and didn't want to do an extra thing on the side. So what I found now, just coming through the summer, there's a lot of new people who COVID fatigue is wearing off and they're looking for something new or something different. So right now my team is really in a period of transition where some people who were kind of using it as a hobby were like, I don't want this hobby as much anymore. But then people who maybe didn't fare so well in COVID are now coming out of it and wanting to be healthier and take care of themselves and are excited about being out and about. Those people are being really attracted to what we do right now.
yeah.
So I do have like a kind of a core team, but then there's so much fluidity about who's really doing well or who's really wanting to build a business, and then it can change so easy that they take a couple months off and I don't really hear from them. So it's a funny business where I'm not really anybody's boss. It's almost more like a mentor. Like I just share what I'm doing, and the people who want to do it, and the people who don't, that's super cool too.
Okay, okay. So let's say if somebody from the group is maybe interested in learning more or working with you, how can they get in touch, or what would be some guidelines you can give them at this point?
For people on my team or people in your group? Sorry, I just want to
In the
clarify.
group now on LinkedIn here, if somebody
Oh,
keeps
okay.
saying and would want to maybe learn more.
Yeah. So anybody, we're not in all countries right now. We're actually just starting in 2025. We're doing a major global expansion.
Mhm.
But currently we're in Canada, US, UK, Poland, Australia, and New Zealand.
Okay. Mhm.
That's where people are able to order product and build a business. And they have to be affiliated with that country in order to be actually paid as well. But you can do business in all those countries. So if anybody's in one of those countries and wants just to know more about the products, about the health products, I can certainly just send them a link or answer any questions. Or if there was anybody who was more interested in learning about kind of what it is and what it isn't,
Mhm.
I'd probably have a conversation like this to answer questions, because
Mhm.
it's so different the background people come from. Like me thinking I don't want to buy thousands of dollars worth of product and sell it. That was my main hesitation. And I found out that's not what you do. Where somebody else might be concerned about, like, do we have to recruit or what does that look like? So I do like to have a one-on-one conversation to find out what their concerns are
Yeah.
and let them know if this is a good fit or not. Because it might not be a good fit for everyone. It might not be what they're looking for, but I think people should have the ability to get those questions answered to find out if what they're thinking is actually what it's about or not.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, just as an idea, right? As you're saying, this was
Yeah,
maybe you can think about kind of the most commonly asked questions and do a quick Q&A about that, right? I think it would be
for
very good,
sure.
because how you are speaking about it with such ease and very relaxed, and how a lot of people are presenting network marketing is very different. Very
Right.
different, like buy,
Right.
sell, come on my team, you are going to do this and that, right? Like what is going on?
Right. Exactly.
All right. So then, whoever is interested to learn more, or even in general, right, to connect with you, please feel free and connect with Courtney.
For sure.
On the other note, though, right, like all this, I'm also curious to learn a bit more about wellness and health and your perspective on it, especially also reading all the material that you have shared with us so far. So maybe, I mean, I know it's a huge, broad topic, obviously, right? Maybe a couple of main tips in terms of health and wellness from your experience, if you can share with us. What would those be?
For sure. So I think the biggest thing I'm trying to share right now and trying the culture I'm trying to create is kind of along the lines with the anti-diet culture.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like growing up, I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm 40. I'm be 41 next week. And I was raised that food is bad. There's good foods and bad foods. If you eat the bad food, you must punish yourself with exercise, and that people who might weigh more than I do are unhealthy. And if you're skinny, you're healthy. And all of those things are so wrong. But I find in my generation and older, that's how we were raised and the messages that were shared to us. So with my kids, and then women our age, what I'm trying to, I guess, educate and share is that their food isn't good or bad. It's food.
Yeah.
And if you eat a donut, you're not bad. It's
Mm.
so you're allowed to eat a donut. So it's kind of like live your life, but support your body. Like, yes, I take my probiotics and my greens. I do things that are good for my body,
Mhm.
but I also don't feel bad if I have nachos for breakfast. Like, I'm not a bad person because I had a bad thing for breakfast. It's just nachos. And
Yeah.
that's what I was hungry for. And that's what I had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just trying to really support people not punishing themselves with exercise. Exercise is a way to celebrate what your body can do
Mm.
and make it stronger and challenge it. And food should be as good for your soul as it is for your body. You know, if you have a big bowl of pasta and a glass of wine, you weren't bad. If that makes you feel good and you really enjoyed it,
Yeah.
like feeding your soul is just as important as the nutrients you need for your body. And there is nutrition in pasta and wine. Like, it's not all terrible for you. I find there's a place for everything in moderation,
Yeah.
and that people shouldn't feel guilty over what they're eating, and they shouldn't punish themselves if they eat something that typically would be known as bad, and that they can definitely enjoy the things that they want to enjoy, not feel guilty about it. And then I like to add in some things that I know support my body so that my body's getting everything it needs to run well. So kind of health and wellness wise, and I guess being really moderate about things. It's not all or nothing. You can just do a little bit of everything and be mindful of listening to your body and what it needs. Like, when you're full, stop eating. When you're hungry, eat. And it's okay if you ate an hour ago. If you're hungry again, your body needs nutrition. And we go through phases where we need to eat more or more of certain things. And then there's times when we don't need to eat as much, or times when you need more rest. It's more about listening to your body and honoring your body and doing whatever you can to help support how your body works.
Yes.
So that's what I'm kind of trying to create, I guess, is that an acceptance of that ideology.
Yeah. I fully support that, right? Like, I also am very much anti diet. I think anything extreme is bad. I mean,
Yes.
bad, right? It's not good, let's put it that way. Too much of
Right.
this or too little of that. It's what you just said, right? It's about finding balance and combining different things and listening to your body. Really
Mm-hmm.
listen to your body. It knows
Yes.
everything. It's so perfect, right? We just
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah. Our bodies are so cool. It's doing a million things right now that I'm not even aware of. Like,
Yeah.
it's making me breathe. My blood is pumping. I'm regenerating cells. My brain is working. Like, your body does so much, and we're so hard on it. It's like, people are like, I hate my legs. I'm like, your legs can hear you. Like,
Yes.
your legs are wonderful. They get you from point A to point B, hopefully, if they're working well and
Yeah.
they have such a great function. Like, why would you hate them when they're like miraculous?
Yes.
So yeah, trying to support that in people is to be so grateful for everything our bodies do. And if you have cellulite, well, so does 99% of the rest of the population.
Yes.
So it's okay. It's not a reason to hate your body. It's because you have a body is why you have that.
Yes, absolutely. And another thing that comes up, as you're saying, is this idea of, right, like taking diets because they're trendy and because everybody's doing it, etc. Right? Like, I am of an opinion that if you wanna go for some diet, firstly, you don't do it now. I want to do this and this diet because I think it's good, but go to a professional, right? Go to a
Right.
nutritionist, go to a doctor, go to a professional in that field who will really tell you what and why you should follow a certain diet. Some people are more meat eaters, some are not, right?
Mhm.
So they're not going to have the same diet, for example, right? I think it's very much I have very limited knowledge about it, but from what I've heard, for example, one of the big things is what blood type you are. Like, a lot of your diet would depend on that as well, right? So, but anyway, now not to get
No, it's
right, but
good. And everyone's like, look at your family. Like, is everyone in your family thin? Is everyone in your family pear-shaped? Is everyone like, you're born kind of with a set body of probably how you're gonna look. And that's normal for you. So the more you fight against that, the like more your body wants to maintain homeostasis. That's why when people drop a bunch of weight, your body's like, I don't know why you're doing this so suddenly. So it'll do everything it can to make you gain that weight back.
to go back. Yes.
Yeah. And there's people who at different weights that's their healthiest. I've been thinner, but I was much unhealthier when I was thinner. Like the body weight I have right now is pretty well what I maintained for about the last 20 years. And this is not hard to maintain. It's kind of naturally what my body does when I'm feeding it well
Yeah.
and taking care of it. And yeah, we all kind of have those predispositions. Just because somebody might weigh more than me doesn't mean they're less healthy than me. I have a girlfriend who runs marathons. I would die if I tried to run a marathon. She's obviously in better physical cardiovascular condition than me, but I weigh less than her. But that doesn't necessarily mean I'm healthier.
Yeah.
So it's kind of honoring what your body's predisposed to and supporting it the best way you can without trying to radically change it.
Yes, exactly. And you will be able to support it the best as you can if you love it.
Right.
So everything essentially comes from our way of thinking. If I hate my body, guess how I'm going to behave towards it? I'm not going to be loving it if I hate it. Right?
Exactly.
So it's very interesting. And they both need to be, on the same page, our mind and body. We are one whole, not separate, right? It's very interesting. We are people, right?
Yeah.
All right. So how do you feel about exercising, right? Like how maybe often do you do it? How does that benefit to overall well-being of yours?
So I have been up and down and all over the road with exercise like my entire life. When I was in university a long time ago, I had gained about 50 pounds. And at that time in my life, I did not have a good relationship with my body. So I would go to the gym when I decided I was going to lose weight, and I lost about 35 pounds in 3 months. So it was not a healthy way to do it. I was very restrictive in my eating, and I was basically punishing myself at the gym. So that was not a great way to work out. And I really didn't know what I was doing at the gym either. So I was doing some silly things. Now when I look back, I'm like so embarrassing. Those videos people take, people doing crazy stuff at the gym. I feel like they could have taken videos of me had there been cell phones at that time. But now, I walk my dog every day. So I'm out in nature without my phone. Her and I go for a walk. And that's kind of the part that's good for my soul. And I know that's my bare minimum. If I do anything today, I'm going to get outside for 20 and 25 minutes and walk and move. And I also love yoga, and not like a hot yoga, not acrobatic yoga, but just yoga where I'm listening to my body and honoring what my body can do today. And I love biking. I tried to run last summer, but I hurt both meniscus in my knees. And so that's not the greatest form of exercise for me. Biking is really good for my knees, and I still get that cardiovascular feeling where I feel like I'm helping make my lungs and my heart stronger. And I find it really easy to challenge myself just enough that I know that I'm making myself stronger. So I've been kind of off the wagon the end of summer and September, but now I've got the bike set back up in the basement. I did it this morning. So I would like to do that at least twice a week, bike and yoga twice a week, and then walk my dog most days.
Yeah. Dogs
So
are
nothing too crazy, just supporting and challenging my body in moderation so that I'm just moving, because we're meant to move. We're meant to challenge ourselves. But there's a difference between that and what I used to do when I was in university.
Yeah, it's a different kind of challenge because here you have already a different different thoughts about it. So obviously it's different action we are taking as well. It's coming from a different feeling, punishing versus loving yourself.
Celebrating my body can ride this bike for 20 minutes. So why wouldn't I? Because there's so many people who would love to be able to do it and physically can't. I can. So I should, and I should celebrate that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also important to find whatever sport you're doing that you like it, right? That you're enjoying it. I personally don't like gyms. I find gyms to be like, why would I want to be in a closed space? I don't like it, for example, right? So, but that's I don't have nothing against them, right? But for me, I prefer swimming, for example, or walking or hiking or whatever. Gyms are, unless you really drag me in the gym. That's all right. That's very interesting. Now, if you could go, obviously, now knowing what you know now, I like to ask this question always. Knowing what you know now, if you could go back in time at the beginning of your career, right? What would be maybe something different you would do, or something you would say to yourself?
That's a really great question.
Right?
I think at the start of my Arbonne career, like 10 years ago, I would have told myself, like, I was, I don't know the best way to put it. The words are gone right now. I wasn't coming at it from an abundance mindset. I
Mm-hmm.
was like trying to talk to people about Arbonne before someone else did. Like I didn't think there was enough to go around. So that would have, like I said, when I first started, I wasn't really amazing at it. And I wouldn't say it was desperation, but it wasn't coming from a place of abundance.
Mm.
So I think if I could go back and sit down and say, 10 years from now, you're still doing this, you're doing really well. There's enough people. You don't have to have that feeling like I have to talk to somebody before somebody else does. Just like pump the brakes, chill out a little bit, and just be really consistent with it, trying to help people.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good and so relevant, and so like we see these things so much around, right? Coming from scarcity rather than abundance. And this is why
Yes.
so many people, when it comes to being salespeople, they're doing such a bad job. I'm sorry to say it, but it's true,
Yeah.
because they have this kind of thoughts.
Right.
You cannot come across as friendly and relaxing and loving and caring about your client if you're thinking, I have to sign it up.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
So that I think would be my biggest lesson. I wish, and it didn't take me very long to learn it, but
Yeah.
that initial probably year and up to about 3 years until I really found a lot of success, I still, even if that wasn't running me, that was always a thought in the back of my head, or kind of what would motivate me when I went to work. And I'd be like, okay, no, calm down. There's so many people in the world with skin and hair that eat. There's enough clients to go around. Like
Yeah.
babies are being born all the time. We're all set for new people coming into the business and using the products. But that was yeah, like you said, a scarcity mindset. That's initially how I started. And I kind of wish I could go back and change that. But now it's a lesson.
Mhm.
Now I know other people might be starting with that attitude or that feeling. So I can address that now and kind of help them out.
Yeah, yeah. And what I want to point out, because I think it's going to be also helpful for anyone who's listening, what you said, right? Like were still there, but
Mm,
because we cannot just magically stop thinking. But what you were doing is you were understanding that they're there, and you were switching those thoughts into more empowering ones. So what happened is that even if those thoughts were still there, you understood they're not useful and that they're not producing results that you want. So by becoming
yes.
more and more aware and changing them on a
Hmm.
regular basis, you came to the point where it became natural.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that too, relate it back to like the stuff with the body. Like I said, I had bad habits
Yeah.
about eating and exercise. And sometimes that'll be the first thing that pops into my mind is something not helpful for my body, because
Mm.
that's how I was basically trained my whole life to think about my body. So when I have that thought, I'm like, whoa, that's not you.
Yeah.
That's like society or your grandmother or whoever got that in your head. That's not actually how you feel. That's just your reaction. That's not how you need to respond.
That's so good. That's so like thoughts, that's not you, right? That's not me. Because
Right.
essentially, thoughts are just sentences that our brain is producing. That's it.
Yeah.
It's literally that.
Yeah.
Right? But then we choose if we want to engage with them or if we don't want to engage with them. And this is where things start, going into this or that direction.
Hmm.
This is gold. So everyone listen, thoughts are not you. This is so good.
No,
I love it.
it's so much about just conditioning the
Yeah.
thoughts that we have, and we don't have to act on them or believe them or um, keep perpetrating them. Like you can have that thought and be like, whoa, that's from somebody else, or that's what I was trained to think, but that's not really how I need to behave or act or
Yeah.
believe, really.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And this is just your brain offering you this thought. That doesn't mean
Mhm.
it's true. It doesn't mean it's you. It doesn't mean you should engage with it. You're just like, thank you, my brain, and let me move on.
Yes, exactly.
That's it. Love it. Love it. This is so, so good. Anything, I mean, I feel we could continue and continue, and we will definitely do volume 2 if you're up for it. I would love that. But before we wrap up for today, anything that you would like to offer to the group, anything that you would like to ask from the group, anything at all on your mind that you would still like to share?
I think, sorry, my dog is like the loudest toy in the world is out of all the toys she wants to play with right now. Um, Something where you were talking about maybe I could do a series or answer questions like
Mhm.
say the negative or non-useful things people believe or feel about network marketing.
Mhm.
Maybe some people in this group want to share with me some things that they've heard or what their feeling is or their belief. It would help me be able to make posts
Okay.
because I've been in it for 10 years. So I've kind of, I know I'm not as good at seeing it from the outside because I'm I love it and I'm doing well with it. I do remember what I used to think, but again, that was 10 years ago. So maybe what people are thinking nowadays about it so that I could use that as inspiration for a post to share with other people. That would be super if people would do that.
Okay. All right. Definitely. So any questions, any ideas, any concerns, anything at all, feel free to comment below or directly maybe they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. Okay. That sounds good. That sounds good. So I want to thank you once again for being here with me today. And
Oh, thank you for asking. This was so much fun.
yeah, right. So I'm looking forward to the next post on Wellness Wednesday or Thursday. Doesn't matter. And we stay in touch.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks so much. Hopefully, yeah, today's Wednesday, so I'll get on that today.
Yes. All right. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Let me just, okay.